Hi everyone, welcome back to Music 119. Today we're going to get into Module 3B and we will specifically talk about how we can build a major scale. So a major scale or a major diatonic scale is based on the following pattern. It's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So that means whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay, so this is something that you will need to remember all the time. So please try to memorize it. It will come in very, very handy. Okay, so if you are a more numerical person, there's also the numbers. So 1 1 half, 1 1 1 half, which is the same thing as whole whole half, whole 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 half. Okay, so let's look at E major. All right, so far the only information that we have about building um, a major scale is just the pattern, right? Ho ho half, ho 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 half. And then now we know that okay, we have to build an E major. So where do we first start? All right, so the very first step is extremely important because remember the word diatonic? We start from E, right? So the next note must be some form of F, and then G, A, B, C, D, and back to E. That is your very first step. And from here, we can figure out the pattern, right? So we know from E to F that has to be whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Remember, the square bracket stands for a whole step, and then the triangle thing is a half step. For me, this is the clearest way to write it down, and it's very important because sometimes you think you have it in your head, but when you write it down and it's visually very clear, it's just a lot easier to deal with. Okay, so this is the beginning step, and next what we're gonna do is from E, we're gonna go to the piano, plot on the E, and then from there we need a whole step. So whole step means you have to go 2 keys above, right? So from E, you move to here and then here. So what do we have? It has to be some kind of F, so we have an F sharp, right? So from F sharp, we need to have another whole step. So let me just write it in because that's also important to just record what we already get, right? What we already have. So from F sharp, another half steps will be here and then here. So we have a G sharp. And from G sharp to the next, we need a half step. So a half step means from here, we just go to the next note. So that's going to be A. And then from A, a whole step up. So here, here. That's B. And then from B, another whole step up would be 1, 2. So we have, oh, C sharp or D flat, I don't know. Well, it has to be some kind of C. So C sharp. And then from C sharp, another whole step. It's going to be 1, 2. So D sharp. All right, so, and then from D sharp, a half step up, we're just going to get back to E. Okay, so now you can see we have E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and then E. So if you play that on the piano, it would sound like. And you can sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Which is the do, re, mi that we've heard for many times, and that is a major scale. So how do we write that on the staff? Well, it's pretty simple. We have to first write the treble clef, or if you choose to write on a bass clef, you can also do that. We have a treble clef here, and then we have to first plot all of the notes: E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. And now you have to add the accidentals, which are the sharps or flats. And in this case, we have F sharp. And remember the accidentals go before the note, okay, when you're plotting them in on the staff. So E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. All right, so this would be E major in a written down form. And let's answer this question. How many flats or sharps does this key have? Well, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. So just know that the E major key will always have 4 sharps. Okay, so E major has 4 sharps. Just try to store it somewhere in your mind, and we'll come back to it. Next, we're gonna work on B flat major. Okay, same thing. The first thing you want to do is to write down the letter names. So we start with B, well, actually B flat, right? We want to start with B flat. It will end on a B flat, and then you just fill in, the notes that come between them. So B, the next one is C, D, E, F, G, and then A, and back to B flat, right? So from here, what you want to do is also to write in the pattern: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And then once you have this, the next step is to go to the piano. So B flat, a whole step up is going to be to the C. And from C, another whole step up is going to be D. And from D, a half step up is going to be E flat, right? And from E flat, a whole step up is going to be F. And then whole, whole, half. Okay, I'm skipping a few steps here in terms of saying, hey, this is a whole step. That's why you move, 2 keys up. I think by this point you should kind of already know it. So I'm not going to get into that level of detail, but I think this is still okay. So we have a B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, back to B flat. All right, let's write that down in the letter names first. So B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. That looks right to me. And now we're gonna write it again in treble clef. So from here, we're gonna start from B, which is here. Well, we know that it's gonna be B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and lastly B flat. So make sure that you don't forget to also put the flat on the last note, okay? Because this would sound like, and without that flat on that last note, it would sound, which doesn't sound right, okay? So please pay attention to these very, very small details. Small details, but very important. And now, okay, let's answer this question. How many flat or sharps does this key have? Okay, you see, all right, 1, 2, 3. Well, that's wrong. It's actually only 2 flats because this first one is a B flat. The last one is also a B flat. We're not going to count them twice, right? B flat and then E flat. So this one doesn't count. We have 2 flats. So previously, the E major scale, remember how many sharps? 4 sharps. And in this case, B flat has 2 flats. So something I think you should just remember just for now. Okay, now we're going to look at C major, the hardest scale in music history. I'm kidding. So C major, same thing. We're going to start from C, and on C, fill in the rest. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so same thing. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So let's look at this scale on the piano, starting from C. And from C, we go up a whole step D, and then another whole step is E, and now it's a half step. F, because there's no black key in between, so it's just the next note. From F, a whole step up is G, and then another whole step up is A, and then B, and finally back to C. Alright, so you'll see, oh, this scale is very convenient. We don't even have black keys. And you're right, C major scale has no sharps or flats. Okay, so it was really my favorite scale to work on when I was a kid, just because it's all white keys and it always seems, well, definitely seems a lot less complicated than any other scale, right? So C major scale, if you write it down on the staff, well, this time, why don't we use the bass clef? So in this case, we have a bass clef. So C will be down here. Remember, all cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B to C, right? So this is the C major scale. And how many flats or sharps does this key have? 0. So this is how we build a major scale. And I'll see you in the next video.